take it as adventure. Like many people coming, like because they hear, like if you go to fly competition, you're going to learn a lot. And then they are frustrated because they are at the back and they didn't learn anything. Well, I went for competition. I learned a lot because you observe others, maybe not in the beginning, but at least you try to fly the task. And then you can land and go back to goal and have a beer with those superstars and ask questions. Some of them will answer the questions, be curious. It was a World Championship in Valle del Bravo in Mexico in 2009. I was going there. I was pretty self-confident, kind of a little bit arrogant young pilot, already flying a comp wing, having my first World Cup wins and completely ignoring the science that I might not be there yet where I think I am.
What is up, pilots across the world? Welcome back to episode number 4 of PWCA edition. This is the last episode of PWCA, Paragliding World Cup Association, because the first couple of episodes were about navigating brand new sites for Paragliding World Cup, which had just come up. One was in India, the other one was Kenya. If you're keen to check out those episodes, just scroll down in the show index and you'll find them there. Super exotic ones, a lot of knowledge over there. And then the third one was the president himself of the association coming around and telling us what basically goes on behind the scenes and how the show is run so successfully. But in this one, we take a deep dive into how life is when you chase your dream as a Paragliding World Cup pilot. And we are joined by none other than one of the most amazing pilots out there. Her name is Klaudia, and she has basically fulfilled the dream that a lot of pilots want when they start paragliding. And that is from going to a novice pilot to chasing the glory and actually making it happen by winning in Paragliding World Cups. Coming in as a minority in the sport of paragliding, as a woman, she had to face a lot of challenges. Turbulence was not just in the air, but turbulence was on the ground as well for her initially. However, we all know it's very famously said that passion never fails. And this woman is an example of how passion can actually take you places. Super thankful that she found time out from her busy schedule because currently she's been blessed with a baby girl less than 2.5 months ago. So drum roll please for the effort. But still, since it's always a pleasure to talk about your passion, I think that is the side that we get to see of Klaudia in this episode. So, if you're someone who dreams about racing paragliders, and even more so winning with racing paragliders, then this episode is for you. Because Klaudia is a perfect example of how perseverance and believing in yourself, and most importantly, working hard, will pay off. So, without further ado, let's dive right into this last episode of PWCA. And needless to say, stay excited, stay tuned, because the next topic coming up in the month of March is for new technologies. And it's nothing but a wealth of information sharing from the bottom of the hearts of designers, the industry professionals, the ones who are actually involved in pushing the limits. So, I'm not going to spill any more beans here. You're going to have to wait for the episode to come out. But yes, all this talk that is happening around Stubai Cup and everything that is hitting our mailboxes will more or less be covered in the coming episodes. So, until then, this is Klaudia Bulgakow sharing her insights on Paragliding World Cup and how to make it happen.
Hey-ya!
Klaudia Bulgakow, thank you so much for doing this. Welcome to Paragliding Atlas. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you very much. We have pretty podcast weather outside right now.
Is that so?
Yeah, it's raining heavily.
Well, I share the feelings because I'm joining you from Oslo, Norway, and it is kind of similar. So we both are in perfect situation to do this and get this done.
Exactly.
Well, along with you, I see a very cute guest in front of us. I believe if you can introduce her to our audiences. I mean, they cannot see her, but of course, a little bit of an introduction.
Yeah, you might hear in the back stage my daughter Alexandra. She's 2.5 months tomorrow, so she might be hearable.
Wow. Well, congratulations on the new journey. I'm pretty sure this is one of the most special moments for any person in their life. So, wish you all the luck in the coming years. All right. So, I mean, your profile is fascinating and inspiring, and needless to say, one of the most amazing, ways to chase glory while racing paragliders. If you can just get us started on what basically gets you excited, because I have been spending quite a lot of time on your website, and there are so many things that I want to talk about. But first things first, what is the thing that kind of got you into aviation and racing paragliders in the air?
Oh, that's a difficult question. It's so multi-layer. And thank you you are flattered. Thank you for the introduction. Well, when I was small, I always I like to watch birds flying, and in area where I grew up, on the countryside house of my grandparents, there were several airfields, so there was always something flying over my head, and it was kind of like in my back head. It's fascinating, this all art of flying, but it felt like unapproachable. I'm coming from Poland, and we are a post-communist country, so we didn't have that much money to even dream of flying, and I was always more into sailing. And then I discovered that there is this thing, paraglider, which is much cheaper than airplane or sailplane, and you can travel with this, and it looks like fun. So I give it a go, and from first solo flight, I completely fall in love and wanted to do it as good as I can, possibly. And the racing part is just because I'm kind of natural born competitor, and if you couldn't motivate me any other way than in making competition on everything, like including eating when I was like 2 years old. So first I did ice skating, then I did tennis, and for me, paragliding was first sport I started early, because for ice skating and tennis, I was always too late, like too old, too fat, too small. It was always some problem. And paragliding was the only sport that I started with 17, and the other guys were starting with 26, 27. So I felt like, oh, I have 6 years ahead of them to become good and beat them all. So when I started to fly, I moved on straight to my routine from the previous year. So training and flying as much as I can and trying to understand how to become good. So this is kind of long answer to a short question.
It's a very fascinating one, and I can relate to this so much. Because I come from a land hockey and a field hockey background. And I mean, I started playing field hockey kind of seriously when I was like 13, 14. And everybody was like, dude, people are doing this when they're 7, 8. Like, you're way too late. And I mean, okay, I started paragliding when I was like 25, but I do get the vibe that you're saying, being competitive in usual sports and all the pressure that comes with it. But since you turned back the clock a little bit, I really want to touch upon the topic about you zipping across the streets of Warsaw on a motorbike. That is...
No, it was never motorbiking. I was dreaming of doing motorbike like anyway. And that was my dream. And I don't know why my mom was like, for her, it was like my grandpa used to have a motorbike when my grandma was young, and they were doing trips around Poland on the motorbike. But for my mom, it was kind of such a foreign concept to ride a motorbike, that when my neighbor moved in, who got like enduro motorbike, she went to him, how to start motorbiking, and completely weird, like, you do license, right? And he said, no, motorbiking is too dangerous in Poland, it's really, really life sentence, it's better she fly. Like, and my mom bought into the concept, so she came home like super excited and brought the idea of paragliding to me, because as with most of things like, this was such a foreign concept to me. Well, I've seen paragliders, but I never knew anybody who was flying, so I didn't even think it's possible for me. I'm coming from a city, I'm coming from traditional sports, Paragliding was far concept, So she was the motor into making me fly, kind of.
What a blessing to have a parent like that.
She
And
doesn't
eventually,
fly. She doesn't do sport. Imagine, like, she would drive a car if she need to go 100 meters to the shop. She used to horse ride. She used to ski when she was young, but then she never did anything. She introduced me into skiing, and that was the only sport she did. And then when she was in Warsaw, 100-meter, take a car to go shopping.
well,
So
it seems like a luxury.
she always called herself Mama, like Mama Hen of a eagle duck daughter, because she was always just like running after me, and I would, like, when I was younger, I was passionate about swimming, but I was never like training it. Just I was swimming. So she was on the edge of the river, and I would swim till end of September, and it's quite cold in Poland. Then I started to fly, so she sit on the ground and look me up. So she was always like, I'm like a cuckoo kid, like where is this all coming from?
But I mean, to be honest, it just sounds like a blessing to have a parent like that. I clearly remember my mom freaking out, saying, "What the hell are you doing with your life? This is so, like, all over the place." But of course, we all have our own ways to chase our passions. So no, super happy she got you into this, and look how it eventually turned out your life. And I'm pretty sure you must be happy with that decision, no?
Well, yes, she was happy, but she was pretty sick when I in 2000, like from 2012, she was in her own world. So it was kind of like separated. It's hard. I don't know if she got really to understand everything what I did in my life later on. So it's part of life, But she supported me. Like, I think it came from not being allowed to do what she wanted to do, and she was young. Like, her parents were very critical about her passions. She was an artist, and for them it was like poor people job. So they were pushing her into something else, and they couldn't understand her passion. So she wanted me to do whatever I want to do, and she was always like motivating me to chase my dreams, like to not give a damn about what other people say, because she did kind of let other people suppress her, and she didn't want it for me. I think, like, this is my guess.
No, makes sense, and we're so glad that you eventually did, and it eventually gave paragliding world of a female world champion in 2013. So yes, both of you did some things right there. But if I just have to start, I was just researching about this. You started at 1999, and then by 2000s, the very next year, you were competing. How does that happen? Like, within a year, you're still learning how to deal with the collapses, and like what the glide ratio is, and like what the speed bar is. How do you go from learning to pushing the speed bar all the time?
Well, this is a great question, because for me, that was impossible as well, as I'm coming from the traditional sports. You need to train hard, and it takes time before you are ready to go to compete, And to 1999 September, I did my license. By the way, it's 25 years ago this September.
Wow.
This is so crazy, right? I make a small excursion about this. When I started to fly World Cup, I met Frankie Brown, and he told me he's flying for 25 years, and I was 23, I think. And I was looking at him like, wow, this is like ages. And now I'm flying 25 years. This is like really weird. Anyway,
Wow.
So I did my first license 1999 September, and as an athlete, I made my program of my career. So I want to compete. I want to be on national team. So what you do? What are the steps? I need to do next licenses. So we used to have like it was L. It was beginner. A, like, limited was like thermalink. Then there was a full, and then there was a B. And so I did my program. Okay, I go for the A limited license in spring. I went because I want to compete. So I went with the national team coach. He used to have a paragliding school and did this all courses. So for sure, I want to learn from the best. He was the first guy to compete from Poland on the World Cup. So I went here to Bassano, where I live now. So I went in May to Bassano for 1 week thermally course. And, the way of teaching was not the same in 2000. Basically, I did takeoff land in the first course 20 times. And then I came here and I flew, first day I arrived here, my coach told me, go reach soaring. And I was terrified on the takeoff. I was never so high in my life with paraglider. I was supposed to take off from 500 meters and then go soaring. And what are you talking about? I never took off without winch. I never heard of soaring. So he just you will be fine. Just take off and you go left and right on the reach, and then you are staying in the air. So, and I'm coming from flatland, so I took off and I was far too far from the reach. So of course I went down. And imagine if I could reach soar, it was too windy to reach the landing in front on the very beginner wing. So he lost me from the view. He said, go to land. And I glide to the landing, but I'm not going anywhere. I think I didn't even have a speed bar in that moment. So he, in panic, ran to the car because there was not the time that you've got two instructors. It was just one on the takeoff or in the landing. He took off behind me, and by the time he took off, I was already landing in some garden. Because I just started to fly backwards toward Bassano. And I found some small garden. Perfectly landed there. A guy was passing by, quite impressed that you can land here. And that was my first flight in the mountain. But then, he was really good in explaining how to thermal. So I did 20 hours in week, ish, thermaling and soaring. So we would fly 2 hours in the morning, 3 hours on afternoon. He would guide me on the radio in the thermals. Then we would have a lunch break. Then we would go to flight. He would guide me on the radio again. Then he got me a Vario, and I started to fly my own. Then within the same week, he started to tell me, okay, go there, make transition. And I did my first 10K flights already in first week of flying. And then I came back to Poland, and the first weekend on tow, I flew 21 kilometers. Because I hang out with pilots, and everybody we're talking how to find the trigger point, how to find thermals, how you understand on the cloud where is the thermal. And I remembered that from the year before when I used to just drive a car and to spread the rope for winching. And they said go on the edge of the forest. I went, oh, beep, beep, beep. Okay, I found the thermal, and I already knew how to thermal from the course. So I got up, and in flatland you have wings which push you. So okay, next. And then I could go much more, but I got cold and I arrived close to Warsaw, and I didn't know exactly where the airspace of airport is. So I spiraled down to land. Imagine, spiraled down to land on 21 kilometers. And we are speaking about the time when the Polish record was that summer. A friend of mine did Polish record of 107. So my second flight was 21, and then my third cross country was 56. The same concept, just this cloud looks like falling apart. This cloud looks like it's fresh and coming. Okay, so I follow. Guys told me follow lines of clouds. Okay, I follow. Go to this contrast and edge of forest. I follow, and like this, just executed what they told me. And then they say, okay, you are so good. You are already so good. This is the paper. This is the piece of paper. You fill it out. Then you do photo every 20 kilometers, and you compete in Polish cross country cup. You just put everything in cover, just make sure they don't cut the film. You put all the papers with the film inside. You send it to the judge. Judge is looking at it. They were checking on the map this points, and then they were giving you points for kilometer, and that was a cup. So I started to compete. Okay, you're motivated to compete in that. we go next weekend on competition to North Poland. You come with us. And I'm like, are you joking? I don't fly even 1 year. What competition? Don't worry, you are good enough. Let's go. Let's go. My neighbors. And they took me for my first comp. And I got so addicted that next comp was in September in Basanok here. I flew here already. Okay, let's go. My first flight was 3 kilometers. My second was 5 hours with photos. I top landed somewhere on plateau, but still I tried, So you ask how the heck I started compete, because there were people who saw the passion and who were pulling me with. If I wouldn't have these people around, if I would have these haters or like more of those who are telling you're a girl, you should not fly. Like I've got those as well. Like you're gonna kill yourself. Women should be in the kitchen or whatever. Then I would probably not. But because there were other people who took me under the wing and brought me everywhere, that made everything possible for me. And without my mom didn't even have idea what I'm doing, because I was just going with the guys. Okay, go with the guys.
Wow. I mean, just basically, if I have to sum it up, you connected yourself with the right people and surrounded yourself with the knowledgeable people who were able to judge your flying skills and tell you how to navigate risk versus reward. Because I have, like, during my beginner progression, I have come across some people who have been like, they give out advice.
I'm gonna turn off this extra sound because she wants to go to sleep now.
Yeah.
Okay, done.
Yeah. So basically, like, I have faced similar kind of people in a very different settings. There are some who will motivate you and give you the constructive feedback, but there are some who don't know what they're talking about. So I think for our listeners and the audience, it is very important to surround yourself with the right people. And that question you can only answer yourself, that who is the right person and how do you navigate risk versus reward with them.
Well, I think to add to that, there is another layer if you're a woman, because women don't tend not to believe too much in themselves. And if somebody tell them not to do something, they would listen. And they follow usually like the negative advice, But I was raised as a rebel, My mom was a hippie, feminist rebel. And unfortunately not against her family, but social kind of ideas. And she told me I can do what I want. So I executed. I do what I want. I want to fly. I want to compete. If you tell me you can't because women are not made for that, because you're going to kill yourself. I was 17. I was looking to this 20 years older guy or 30 years older guy. And I was like, what the heck? Who are you to tell me what I can do or not? You won't. Because if you don't want me to do, just don't look. Look other way. And this, unfortunately, beginning of my flying was dominated by this kind of need to constant protect myself and prove that I am on the right place, on the right spot, and it kind of determined first half of my flying career to prove myself, to prove that women have a place in the sport, that I can do good, that I can do even better than them. And that was kind of like negative motivation, which kind of spoiled this romantic passion, vibe.
Makes sense. Now, well, thankfully, I hope, fingers crossed. I mean, I don't know what are the challenges that women face in today's world, but I believe and I hope things have improved in the community, and hopefully there are less of those challenges now.
Unfortunately, not everywhere.
Yes.
Some girls are still fighting the same. You are hanging. Some girls, I don't want to get too much into it, but there are countries why we see some countries where you have a lot of good pilots, very strong female pilots, doing it all, like cross country, acro, hike and fly competitions, and you have countries where you don't see much. There are girls flying, but not really high level, not really high performance wings. And just answer your question. Like answer the question which I don't want to even ask. Why is it so? It's just depends very much from your cultural background and what kind of men in the community are and what kind of instructors are, and if they treat you normal, they support you or they push you back. And this is unfortunately like reality we're facing today, that women need understand more when they start to fly. Like they are not just do it, we are not this just do it type of person. We need to understand, we need to clear explanation, and unfortunately not all instructors are able to do it. They are just telling that you are not able, you are not capable, that's why you can't do that, or something like this, you know so this is what I really dream of, that we have more good instructors out there who can teach everybody, those who are more sensitive, who are more into doing and learning by doing, and those who need more theory, more theoretical understanding, more precision.
Makes
Yes,
sense. Well, this is our small attempt at balancing the power structure, because the whole idea of trying to bring your story into this paragliding World Cups was to tell how someone can go out and chase racing paragliders from the beginning of their career and actually make a life out of it, and not just a life, but a very successful lifestyle. So fingers crossed, your story hopefully inspires some listeners to follow your footsteps. It definitely did to me. So, well, it's a start. And let's see where this one goes. But I want to move on from the period from 2000 to 2005, because that is like 2005 you eventually finally went pro and basically started living off it, if we go by the definition of it. So how did you define the hard work? Is that so? Okay.
I started competing in the World Cup and got first selection for the national team 2005. Exactly, like pushing 2004, I realized I don't need much money to do full season. And I just like hitchhike between the comps and so on. I did 5 comps that summer, same time studying and working in winter as a ski instructor. And 2005, I got a nomination for the national team. That was the year of the World Championships in Brazil. But everything was, I was not even considered to go like by the national team. And they told me, I think like 2 weeks before the event, that actually I could have go with my own money, which is like too late for organizing anything. That's another thing, how they treated women by then in our sport, in Poland at least. Then 2005, I got selected as well for the World Cup for the first year, and I did 3 last events. And I got my first sponsor 2007, like big sponsor. 2005, I got the equipment sponsorship. Like when I got selected, same time I managed to win some equipment sponsors. So it was a great help. And then the financial sponsor came 2007. So this is where I could say I started to like not live of it, but have enough money to train and compete.
Well, it was a start, and it's one of the most important phases of any athlete. Basically, getting some sort of support, it helps you psychologically, makes you motivated. But I just want to quickly touch upon the topic of hard work. Like as you mentioned in the beginning, you had some mentors who helped you navigate this, figuring out how to train. So once eventually you got self-sufficient and you kind of knew where to put in your effort, what does hard work, because since you're competitive, so what does hard work look like in terms of a paragliding pilot who is trying to chase World Cups?
Well, one of the things which attracted me to paragliding was the fact that I don't need any coach to tell me if I'm ready or not. Because that was the thing with classic sport, that you always have a coach, and the coach is telling you if you are ready to go for a competition, which competition to start and no. And that was the thing attractive, but at the same time, the hard thing, because you need to figure out all on your own. So the first season of competition, like 2004, 2024, I met two important persons. One was Nikolai Shorokov. It was a Russian top pilot flying World Cup, who used to be ski coach before. So we spoke kind of same language. We are coming from competitive classic disciplines. And
Mhm.
he saw my struggles, just like, I was trying just fly cross country in the comp and do some
Mm.
results. And he said, no, this is not how it works. He explained me all the tactic, and we were doing debriefings every day. Then that season we did almost all comps together, so he saw my progression, and he could always give me feedback on improvements. And the other person, I forgot his name, but this is really embarrassing. I have very bad memory for names. Anyway, that was a observer from World Cup on one of the pre-World Cups I did that season.
Mhm.
And he saw how I fly, and he said, you should go for a World Cup. Again, no, I'm not ready. I need to, train more, compete more, get more experience. No, don't worry. There are not many good girls and not many good girls, so you are ready. You need to look how to get qualified. And
Mm.
he explained me by the rules how to get qualified for the World Cup. So
Mm.
these were my kind of like, one was the motivator, let's say, one was my mentor. And then alongside came Paolo Sarmaki and other guys who were giving me a good tips, observing and advising how to become better. And
Mm.
nowadays, I believe if you have no good mentor, if you have nobody who can structure you, you have no chance on the World Cup, kind of. Because this
Wow.
sport became so high level. We have right now 90 people coming into goal within 5 minutes. So these
Mhm.
are like hundreds of seconds time difference. If you don't know exactly what you're doing, if you don't know how to fly in big goggles, if you don't know how to reset your wing, so if you have some collapse or break you have rack, how to refly your wing again and not use the rescue every time, you have nothing to do in the World Cup. In my times, I went with C wing and I was still good, you know? Today,
Mm.
if you come with the C wing, it would be like maybe you come in the goal 2 hours later, you know? So mentorship is super important. Coaches, mentors, books, wherever you can get information. And the
Mm.
next thing is what I teach when I coach, mentors can be as well your friends, because somebody is good on meteo and you are good on thermaling. So you can teach this person how to become better in thermaling, and this person can teach you how
Mm.
to pick lines better. It doesn't
Mm.
have to be old pilot to teach you something. We just, we have different skills, and we, by working together and sitting together and analyzing the days and just picking up on the strength of each other, even between people with same flying experience, you can have mentors, you know.
That's such a good way to put it, because usually, you know, mentor or finding a mentor is like somebody super experienced, or you have that image of like, an older and experienced pilot. But just surrounding yourself with passionate people, I think eventually does. I mean, it does not check off all the boxes, but it at least pushes you in the right direction, and of course you can help and foster each other grow in an equal manner, I believe.
Just look at the competition scene right now. We have several newcomers who are very successful in the World Cup, and they have
Mm.
not much flying experience, not many years in flying, but they are highly analytic per people. Most of
Mm.
them are coming from informatic background. So they are already, by default, their brain operates in this analytic way. And they just got access to information like how to be successful in comps, and they execute, you know?
Mm.
There is no second guess. They just execute. I have a friend who flies 3 years. No, this year will be 4 years. And to go flying with him, he has almost all it takes to be good pilot. He needs just some trimming, when for me it took me 10 years, 15 years to arrive to that point. That's why, yeah, read books, get mentors, learn, analyze, yeah, gather
Just
information from everywhere. And just
to
check,
just
it's like not everything people tells you it's going to work for you. What I did, I was reading, and then I was going to fly and checking if it does work for me.
makes sense. I think the takeaway is stay hungry, stay excited, and then things will eventually work out one day. No,
Yeah,
makes sense. Makes sense.
exactly.
You know,
And like take it as adventure. Take it as adventure. Like many people coming, like because they hear like if you go to fly competition, you're gonna learn a lot, and then they are frustrated because they are at the back and they didn't learn anything. Well, the I went for competition. I learned a lot because you observe others. Maybe not in the beginning, but at least you try to fly the task, and then you can land and go back to goal and have a beer with those superstars and ask questions. Some of them will answer the questions. Be curious and try to like treat it like with curiosity as a learning process and not have high expectations straight on when you start.
makes so much sense. And, this resonates with me so hard because that is the whole idea of making paragliding atlas accessible to everyone. Not everyone can try to put their resources in buying tickets to World Cups and, figuring it out. Also, the whole idea of having guests like you on our shows is to have that talk or the beer talk or the later on talk brought to you right in your home or your car or wherever you're listening and have knowledge. Yeah. Anyways, I want to touch a little bit upon motivation because I was reading or I was watching one of your documentary trailers and it said that you were basically staying in a caravan for 6 months and it was like you had access to electricity like twice in a year. Like, how does that work out? Like, that's hard life. So it's what goes in when you motivate yourself that, hey, you know what, this is also a reality. I'm not going to go out there and win every day and share the beers with those legends that you were saying. So if you can just talk us about that period that you were dealing with.
I never saw it as hard. This is funny that I never thought that people can perceive it as hard. That's interesting. Well, I used to travel with the person like a small car, and I was so fed up of packing and unpacking, and even to go to hotel. If you stay in a hotel, you need to take your luggage in, luggage out, luggage in, luggage out. And when you do 10 comps a year, 8 comps a year, it's a lot of packing and unpacking, and I hate it. And if you live in the camper van, basically you don't need to do that. So for me, it was like comfort choice, Well, it was not a big one because it was again comfort choice because it's easier to travel with a small car. It costs less on the highway, and you can go into supermarket shopping with the camper van. Many places you cannot enter, and it's like I wouldn't say like it's so funny. For me, there is nothing more beautiful in your one of periods of life to live this kind of gypsy lifestyle because every morning you wake up new place, you have new view. Well, you have a bedroom, a kitchen in all in one, but then your living room have changing walls. You have 1 million-star hotel. You can park wherever you want almost. Not every country, but in most of countries, and just stay there and admire the landscape. It's comfort and there is beauty to it, With the age, I realize I don't recover so well in the camper van, and I need a little bit more comfort and more silence. But at the beginning, it's just adventure, And
I can imagine.
You cannot motivate me for that. It's like, let's go for a road trip. Sign me up, And for me, no, there is no sacrifice in that,
No, sounds great. And I think basically, if it rocks your world hard enough, then everything else falls in place regardless, because it's anyways a mental game how you navigate these challenges. All right, so moving on, I think so far we have talked all about the glorious side of the sport and everything that kind of is makes you driven and gets things going. if you allow me, I want to touch on the hard topic, if that's okay with you. But I mean, you can pause if you want to. But the reason why I want to talk about it is because not a lot of pilots in our sport talk about this. So when I was going through your timeline, year number 2009 and 2010 were quite important in your life. And I believe they shaped you a lot in who you are and eventually were instrumental in your journey towards becoming a world champion. I think all of us have to fight our own battles somewhere down the lane. So if you can just throw a little bit of a light on how did you navigate this tough time and how eventually it made you who you are, and if it was something that you look back today and smile. Of course, only on the good part. I'm sorry for the losses, but still, if you can just throw some light on that.
If I understand right, you're asking about the worlds in Valle, and then actually there were several, years like this, which make me question a lot of stuff. But I think the hardest was like, not, I cannot say the hardest, but the one which completely changed my perspective on competing and why I do it all. It was World Championship in Valle del Bravo in Mexico in 2009. I was going there. I was pretty self-confident, kind of a little bit arrogant young pilot, already flying a comp wing, having my first World Cup wins, and completely ignoring the science that I might not be there yet where I think I am. And actually doing like past analysis, the first like warning signs to me was World Cup in Brazil. That in Castelo that year, the conditions were pretty choppy, pretty rough, and I didn't enjoy it at all. And I should already ask myself by then if I maybe should do some homeworks before going for the Worlds in Valle del Bravo, which is famous to be Valley of Brave. Very strong place to fly. Like you get your ass served to you on the plane there, like if you are not ready. And
I
then
get it.
and then I'm going to Valle, and the scary first day served me with the beautiful conditions to fly. And I was like, what are you meaning? It's beautiful here. It's like what you're talking about. And yeah, that was the easiest day to fly. We know. And people are going there for many years. And then we started with the entire worlds, where everyday accidents and incidents. Altogether, we got 26, out of which one death of Stefan Schmocker on the sixth task, one, I think, paraleptic on the last task. Imagine 26 serious accidents and incidents in the worlds. It's a lot. You have top pilots there. There were several things which came together why the number was so high, in my opinion. If I can just make a quick analyze there, if it's okay for you.
Please do. Please do.
Important.
100%.
Many people are trying scare you with the accidents or not to talk about this, or they want to prove that competing is dangerous by pointing out so many accidents between top pilots. And many will avoid talking about this altogether because they don't want to think about this, If you look at the Ski World Cup this year, how many top skiers are out? For the same reason we've got in 2009. Over pushing of the organization team and the task committee. One of the reasons. We are not pro sports. We are not endurance athletes in the sport, most of us. Not now it's better, but in 2009 we weren't. Every day we've got more than 100-kilometer task in the strong condition. The waiting around Canyon is super rough. And if you were far in the ranking and you have 150 pilots to take off from the launch, with the end of January, you have short windows where you can really take off like safely. So the gaps between takeoffs are quite high. They did 1.5 hours of spread. And if you are far in the ranking, you would take off 1.5 hours before the start. And you would wait in super rough conditions, then fly 120-kilometer task in rough conditions. We were exhausted. Like people started to oversee things. Like really good pilots started to do stupid mistakes. Like there was collision between Argentine pilot and Belgian pilot. He was just going straight. There were two guys in the air and they hit each other. Okay.
Wow.
So this is showing how exhausted we were in that comp. Sixth task, like I already have first time twist on the start goggle, first time cravat twice. And the same day, sixth day, I've got these two cravats. I rescue. I went out. I continue flying. I stuck. I come to goal, and I'm finding out that one of the pilots died in the beginning of the dive, and that was Stefan Schmocker, one of the really top of the top of the top pilots for me from Switzerland, which do SIVs. They have all money in the world to train. They fly a lot. Flying proto wing. For sure, we all flew proto wing there, but I wouldn't say it was something super dangerous. That what they got, because they got advanced proto. It was pure pilot mistake. Like now in back perspective with my experience, that is pure pilot mistake and ambition and over motivation. But in that moment, I completely freeze. Like when I heard that, I freeze. For me, it was such a shocking experience, and I started to question my ego, my ambition, my place in sport, and with so few resources and much less abilities and much less training than they. I'm just playing with the luck, For me, I realized I'm playing here with luck. It's not like it's completely stupid. And is it worth this all? Like that was my biggest question. Do I really want to risk my life for results and podiums and glory? Which glory? Nobody even knows who is a world champion. Like if you ask any pilot, like I don't know how many pilots now fly in the world, even competition pilots, if you ask them who is current world champion, they wouldn't be able to answer the question because nobody gives a damn, So this is, many people are racing because they think that's going to bring them something. But in fact, it doesn't bring you anything apart of spending a lot of money and risking maybe your life. Hold on, she's calling me.
Go on.
Stop. A tutaj masz to, zobacz. Nie, też? Ale ty nie raczej. No. So at that point, I was not like intellectually, maybe emotionally ready for this kind of deep analysis, and it threw me into really deep, I would say, kind of depression. I started like from coming back from this comp, I started to be scared to fly. I was scared to take off, like in many places, And
it's okay. It's okay.
No, it's just like I don't know what she's doing. And I question if I really want to do it. So I took a break. Like actually I didn't take a break. I was like kind of forcing it through for entire season because I already got some periods of more fear because of a rescue throw or somebody flew into me. I was a little bit more like kind of feeling uncomfortable in the air because then your senses are more strong. But this put me off the track for long, and I decided to actually quit flying by the end of the season because it makes no sense to be every day on the takeoff and scared,
I mean, if it's not fun, then you can't. Then you can't do it. 100%.
If you just cry, like I was seriously staying on the takeoff, holding air risers, shaking and crying sometimes even, and forcing me to to push through it, like to push through the fear border, and top to bottoms, and I was not able to thermal or whatever. So I decided it makes absolutely no sense to me. I focus on life, focus on my work, on my studies, finish studies, whatever. And that season, the next year, my boyfriend broke his back, like in January, by then boyfriend, and he was 5 weeks in hospital in Mexico, as well in Valle del Bravo. And next layer to all of that is that we try not to think about all the bad things what can happen in flying. And the American team leader was a former paragliding pilot who crashed in Valle del Bravo and was on a wheelchair on the takeoff every day.
Oh my God. Oh my
So
God.
you have you fly the hardcore condition. You try not to think about all the bad can happen. Then every day some top pilots is doing some rescue deployments, crashes and everything. And then you have the top pilots on the wheelchair next to you every day on the briefing. That's, excuse me for F words, that fuck ups your brain. It
does.
did to me. It did a lot of damage to me. He's fantastic guy. I love this, and I think it's great that he is feeling good to come. But I was not ready for that. I was not ready seeing pilots on the wheelchair. So this completely. Then my boyfriend crashing, breaking back, and 5 weeks in hospital. When I saw him coming back, he was like from super strong chop up guy shade of himself. That another layer to this, like I don't want to do that. But then it's like if something is really deeply inside you, it's really hard to just give up on it. And I decided let's do it mellow way, just like hobby way. I'm gonna take a easy wing and just gonna cruise around. I took easy wing. I went in May here into Italy to Levico Terme. First cross country. This is shit. This doesn't fly. What
the glide ratio sucks. It does not penetrate. It's so slow. Everything.
It collapses without informing you. I don't feel anything what the air is doing. If I can fly, I want to fly my boomerang because I was flying Jean by then. I want my boomerang. Yeah. But again, my athlete self turned on. I want to do it safe. So I don't want to have this experience again, what I used to have. So what is the program? I want to do SIVs. I want to feel safe under wing. I want to be able to recover the wing. I want to be able to understand the limits. I want to understand better air. And I will fly only when it makes fun to me. So I will not sacrifice my fun and I will not sacrifice my safety for result. So this you can see in my results. If you see that I was like top, you know that conditions were good. If you see my results in shit, that's mean I didn't like something. I didn't consider it as a safe to fly. So that is my motto since 2010. Like I do only this much as gives me fun, and I push a little bit, because you have to push to progress, but never risking my safety and my life. And so, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, and you're not the first one to say this. There's so many guests on this podcast and out there on the internet who says, as long as it's fun, it makes all the sense to put an effort into it. The moment it stops being fun is the moment you realize you have to pull back and watch what you're doing and take basically have a second thought and second look and reevaluate yourself.
Well, to be honest, training, it's not always 100% fun. Do you think it gives fun to me to learn to full stall? It's no fun on beginning. It's terrifying. Even if you ask acro pilots, they don't like full stalls. They like dynamic maneuvers. They don't like full stalls, but it's base. So you need to push through there are some stuff you need to do in order to be safe, which are not fun, which is do your SIVs, throw the wing away from your head sometimes to understand how it works. It's not the fun. If you want to be good in competing, of course, you need to go to fly not only easy peasy condition and smooth and nice and battery. You need to go and fly this a little bit more rough and choppy and see if your SIV and your control of the wing is there and be in tune. This is part of the training. Do you think it's always fun to go to gym or run? No, it's not. But sometimes you need to push through it. We are tending to, nowadays, we are tending to say, just do what makes fun. No, do what is needed to be safe and have fun. Okay? But you need to do your homeworks. Do you think for most of people, is it, if it would be fun to go ground handle, everybody would do it. Why so few people are going ground handling? Why so many people on the takeoff struggle with taking off? You know, maybe for some
Makes
it's fun.
sense.
You can make it fun if you know how to make it fun. But most of them related, I think, my analyze related with the school, and I'm already cross country pilot. I don't need the school thing. But Kriegel Maurer, when I met him first time, now everybody wants to put Kriegel into a like example. Kriegel, when I met him, he was flying cross country when it was good. He was competing every condition, and he was doing acro when it was not good for cross country. And if it was not good for cross country and acro, he was doing ground handling. I remember him in Fies, shitty day, windy. He is on the meadow with his old wing playing around, and everybody drink beer. You know, so this is and this find fun in progression and invest your time in improving your skills so you are not burnt out on the takeoff. You can take off with safe takeoff with many type of condition. And in case you judge wrong the condition or you put yourself into shitty place, know how to get out of there safely, you know? And to learn those skills, maybe it's not so funny, but it's going to pay off because you will have more fun later on.
100%. Like, wow. Thank you so much for putting it out so truthfully and so honestly. Because, the multiple people, when senior pilots or known faces in the sport tell you something, there are, I mean, everybody has their own way of processing it. But I think the takeaway is put in the hard work and then it is fun rather than just having fun and then expecting it to still remain fun, which isn't really the formula because nothing really comes for free. I have to ask you something, Claudia. You have pretty much navigated this with passion, with hard work, and you've put in everything. How did you navigate the risk versus reward spectrum? Because you know that boomerang is the one which will make you win. But at the same time, boomerang is the one which is actually giving you anxiety. So all of us have our own intimate, feeling of how to navigate risk versus reward. Like when I'm trying to do stalls on my wing, if I've done 3 stalls in one run and I don't really feel like doing the 4th one, but I still have the height, like it's a dilemma. Like, should I do it? Will I recover it well, or will I end up twisting it? Like, I find it so hard. Like, should I not listen to my mind saying that, hey, you know what, I've had enough. I just want to land. Let's save the stall number 4 for second one. Or should I tell, shut up, mind. I need to put in the hard work and I need to pull it one more time.
Okay, there are 2 layers to your question. First is always listen to your intuition, never shush it. If every time I was telling to myself, oh, just another one term, and I feel like I should go to land, and I say, no, come on, just one more term, some shit was happening. Many people ignore intuition. They don't know how to listen to it, and they are not in tune into this, deep speaking. You know deep inside if you should do this one more full store or not. Not because you are lazy. Don't say, oh, if you don't do it, you are lazy. If you feel like I should better go to land, it's probably your intuition telling you should probably go to land, and you should probably go listen to it. The second layer to it is, this is related with SIVs. I spent quite a time with Fabien Blanco, who is one of the best, in my opinion, SIV instructors out there. And he coached a French team and some Red Bull X-Alp pilots. And he was coaching this British guy who I think he was second in one X-Alp. And this guy, it's like, oh, Fabien, I'm tired. No, sorry. That was my boyfriend by then. I'm tired. I can't do anymore. And he's like, and now we start the training because he wanted to make you tired. So you start to do it automatically without using your brain. Because when you're on cross country, when you do SIV over water, this is a training and you're in safe environment. If you throw rescue, if you do whatever, you're going to end up in the water. So what? when you're on big cross country and like here in Spijkbode or wherever, and you fly into Dolomites and you are ready after 5 hours of flight, will the condition ask you, are you tired? Are you too tired to get this collapse? Can I give it to you? No, you're gonna get the fucking big collapse, and you what? You will be too tired to recover. You're gonna say, oh no, I'm too tired. No, you have to be automatic to do stuff like subconsciously, and this is what Fabian was doing with those guys preparing for the Red Bull XL. Like this British guy, he agree with him when I say bam on the radio, you do full stop. Okay. So he was like, bam, bam, bam. Okay, you are done. You can go to land in the beach. Bam, you know? And he doesn't give a shit how high you are. If you're gonna land in the water, I say, bam, you are ready to start. And there is another top, what I wanted to say to previous question. There is another, I will not say who, XR pilot who was very successful in previous edition. He spent a season over water because he was so not natural in this stuff. He was landing in the water almost every full stop. But
oh my God.
And it's no fun. Come on, you put your ego into the pocket and you go and do your work. And he worked until he didn't master. He spent a season trying. Charles Cazot, he is not natural in this stuff. He just invested a lot of time. He is one of the best pilots out there. Look how many World Cup wins, super final win, the World Championships, and he invests time into being so good. So listen to your intuition. What is the takeaway? Put the hard work, but listen to your intuition. If your intuition say something, you probably should listen.
I think hands down, this is one of the most clear answer I've had when it comes to navigating risk versus reward. I mean, as long as it brings out the truth and honesty, because I have struggled so much in navigating risk versus reward, because conventional sports, you can be like, okay, I have to run straight line and I have to match this time, so I can forget about how my knees and what my muscles are feeling. I just run pretty hard, and it kind of works. You're like, you keep on doing that for day after day, you're not gonna like fall yourself and hurt yourself really bad by running. I mean, okay, there are some exceptions, you can do that, but like usually the risk is not that big, and of course the reward is proportional as well. But this one, I think the intuition part is where it's like a coach cannot answer that, a mentor cannot answer that, some inspiring figure cannot answer that. So it has to come from within you, and at the same time, as long as it's fun, it makes sense.
And there is another thing. This is not normal sport where you are done by 25. You can successfully compete very long, but you have to survive.
Oh my God!
If you're gonna push for some questionable reward, scare yourself to death or die, you will never achieve your reward. You will not be there, because or you're gonna be scared and you're gonna stop competing or flying altogether, like I almost did, and many other people did, or you're gonna just die and you will never arrive to reward. So my rule is that I want to be old pilot. Yes, I want to be good pilot, but I want to be old pilot. So if I consider this is starting to be unsafe for me, because what is safe for you or unsafe for you is not have to be same for me. If it's starting to be unsafe for me, I go to land, and tomorrow is another day, and there will be another competition.
Live to fly another day. Wow.
It's successfully for 18 years with really minor incidents, if any.
I want to come on the holistic lifestyle that you have eventually managed to build yourself. And I saw how you were very thankful to Lukoil for coming on board and supporting you for majority of your time. And now I see you have a beautiful accommodation that it's the Cloud Lodge that is being run and managed. So basically, how has life been when you transitioned from competing to adding on more, modalities in your life, which eventually started to give you sustainability in monetary terms and all of that. If you can touch on that part. So the reason why I'm asking this question is if there's a pilot who wants to follow your footsteps, and of course sponsors like Lukoil does cover a lot of things in your life and they kind of bring in a lot of support, but eventually there has to be other income sources. So how eventually did you navigate that aspect when it came to living off it and living off it in a full-time way in a first world country? Like I believe Italy is not the cheapest place to live in the world anyway, so if you can throw some light on that.
Yeah, luckily my area is not that expensive. But okay, this is again multi-layer question. I think most of people have seasons in life, and there was season for me when I was a gypsy living out of my bag, and at some point arrived the understanding and the need of having something like a home base, like a home base, where you can come back where parts of your stuff lives at least. This when you are traveling and when you can go back and sleep and wash and have like good training area. And I was searching on such a place for quite a long. And when you search, the place finds you, and this house just found me, and I managed to re how you call it, uh, put my assets from
Refurbish.
one place to another and buy this. And to be honest, is a very good value for, like, in Warsaw you can't buy anything for this. And I bought a business and running a base camp for paragliders and supporting groups and supporting pilots and having a base where I can as well coach and other people can come and feel like home away from home. That was my dream forever since I've seen first surf camps. So I'm just like, tagging off the next box in my life. And I think for me, it comes kind of naturally as well because I did it so many years, like traveling and living out of the bag, that it was kind of progression. And I've got many dreams since I was very young. And she's one of my dreams.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, that was the next part of my question. Like, how hard was it to basically transition from chasing glory all the time into convincing your mind that, hey, calm down. There is something a lot more beautiful than just being in the air and having such a blessing in your life. Like, it just looks really fulfilling. Like you seem really happy right now.
Many people think that it was such a hard choice, and oh my god, like because it's kind of surprise kid. It was not that I really try hard for her. Sorry, I know many women. I was really lucky because all my friends are struggling to be blessed, and I feel really really blessed and lucky by not trying hard and having her. But like I felt at some point I knew always I want to have kids, and it was like I was missing a lot. I was going for next and next competition, and it felt like starting to felt empty. Like what for? Okay, another title, another podium, another time in Colombia, another time. It's a beautiful thing to travel, every year to Colombia to train, and then to Brazil for some World Cup or something like this. But it started to feel empty. Like I started to really long for this problem. When we women we like to make our life harder. When everything goes well, then we create some problem. And this sedentary life, it's not. It's. I was longing for it. I was longing for this a long time already as well. For this. And I hope that it's not the end, it's just beginning of new addition and new beautiful season. And I really like I didn't sold any of my equipment, although I should probably have of because I just want to go back to fly when she is a little bit bigger and don't need me so much. Because that will come. this moment will come that she will be less demanding and more independent, and we want to see her friends and hang out with other people than me. And I really want, like, paragliding is in my heart. I live in this epicenter of European paragliding. It's like one of the biggest spots. All my friends are here every year. Trofeo Monte Grappa is coming in next month, so I will see all my competing friends very soon. And I hope we will see when it's gonna happen that I'm gonna start to fly again. But I hope not so long. And we have a lot of experience. Look, we have a lot of, I think, very important aspect as well for us women is to have positive examples. Like, guys are just trying. We want to have mentor, like, examples. And look, Johanna Jaime, she's fresh mom. She's actually much better competition pilot since she became mom.
Mm-hmm.
And mm, there is a lot of moms successfully competing, So why not?
Indeed, indeed. And I think your inspiring story is something to follow for anyone who is, wanting to race paragliders and have a blessing like her in their lives. I think on that note, Claudia, I'm not going to hold you back anymore from Alexandra. And thank you so much for giving us such unfiltered and honest opinion. I really wish she gave us a little bit more time, but
No worries, you can come back every time you want.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, your way of putting across things is so nice, and it answers so much curiosity that people have for competing, and when it comes to racing paragliders. And I mean, you're in such a beautiful location. Most likely, I will see you in spring. If not, I think your vibes are a blessing for Paragliding Atlas as well, and we truly cannot wait to have you back on the show whenever we can next time.
Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to talk with you. You have very open-minded questions, and it's important. I wish you all the success, and yeah, hope to see you here.